Live from Montreal, Formula One.
The Grand Prix is the biggest single event on the Canadian sporting calendar. It's a record 125,000 sellout. It's a cool day at Montreal Gilles Villeneuve Circuit. Hello there, good afternoon to you all back home. We are 5 hours behind you here. The Grand Prix due off in just over 40 minutes time. You know, this is one of the circuits where things happen. We've always had more than our fair share of drama at this place. Tony Jardine with me. Hi Tony. The old casino overlooks the circuit, doesn't it? You're never quite sure what number's going to come up when you roll the dice.
No, we gave a lift to Bruno Junqueira the other day, the test driver from Williams BMW, and he said the drivers tend to forget that this is more a street circuit than a permanent circuit, and they tend to go for it. But it's a bit like Monte Carlo. The barriers are right at the edge. The first corner funnels in and then goes in down into second gear. Remember last year Irvine and Coulthard tangled there. Panis had a big accident here. World champions have bitten the wall here. And attrition rate, last 3 years, only 10 finishes.
Yeah, Coulthard comes here, David Coulthard, as a Monaco winner, and we're all wondering if he can do it again. He seems really confident.
Yeah, I mean, he said he's going to explore every inch of the track, and he's been doing that in every test session, every qualifying session. He's been very, very close. He's on it, superb form at the moment, and that includes missing one whole test session after an engine change. He still came back and he was right there.
Let's take a look back at qualifying. A very, very slow start, but a dramatic last minute or so, wasn't it?
Well, it was in these last 4 minutes, absolutely superb. And Rubens Barrichello, who was second here in '95 for Jordan, he decided to change tactics, put more fuel in the car and go for back-to-back runs. Look how close he was to the wall there coming out of 15. Ferrari decided to scrub in the front tyres and use new rear tyres, which gave them a better balance. Rubens Barrichello up into second place in these final dramatic moments of qualifying. David Coulthard out there ready to respond. He now going for that pole position and going extremely well, bearing in mind he's lost this session in the morning because of the engine change. 15 minutes for that, but this is this last sector of the track where he really got it back. Superb traction out of that hairpin, getting up to the 200 miles per hour mark with the Mercedes engine down there. The Scot really concentrating hard here and putting everything together, and this is where it counts. This last corner, look, 14, 15, right by the wall that catches people out, and this circuit catches out the best. He got it back, crossed the line, look, provisional pole position, but lurking out there already was Michael Schumacher. And Mika Hakkinen, by contrast, in McLaren team. He was not happy with the handling of the car.
Hasn't been all weekend, has he?
No, he hasn't been all weekend. And coming out of the hairpin at the bottom in that last sector, he couldn't get the traction, he said. And he was quite right, because later on, they found a broken bearing in the rear shock absorber. And that means a matter of hundredths and tenths Michael Schumacher had been out there, had been radioed in turn 10 that Coulthard had got pole position. They said, go for it, go for it. They couldn't tell him what the time was. He said, I just had to go. And in a dying second, split second timing again from the Ferrari team, he did it. His 5th pole position here.
Absolutely, he's done it again. 5th pole position. That's a record for Michael Schumacher in Canada. Also quickest in the morning warm-up too. You know, Michael Schumacher has always regarded world champion Mika Häkkinen as his main threat from McLaren, but he seems to be developing extra respect now for David Coulthard.
It's always a kind of critical issue to make it in the last lap, honestly, because it's very easy to lose it and just go a little bit over the edge. And I thought I actually did that in the beginning of the sector, that I pushed a little bit too hard, but then I looked at my sector time, I didn't lose too much, and I gained enough in the last sector to make up what I lost in the first.
I knew it was always going to be quite tight with Michael, and he got the right lap.
But is that a big disappointment? I mean, the man who's, as you well know, the poleman hasn't won for ages, has he? So it's no big disadvantage, is it?
Well, I think it is. Even though the stats show that it hasn't been an advantage recently, it's got to be better to be closer to the first corner. And, you know, especially on this track, how tight that first corner is, and traditionally there can be an incident. So I would say that this is one track, along with Monaco, you'd want to be on the pole.
David has always been very strong down here in Canada. It's a matter of consistency, whether he can keep it up. At the moment it looks like he does, and I wish him, honestly, because he's so many years there and he's always been behind Mika, so naturally you cheer up always for the second driver a little bit more than for the first driver. I experience this very often, honestly, so it's naturally the case with me a little bit, and I hope he does well.
I'm quietly confident, and I don't need to go around sort of shouting that from the rooftops. It's a question of getting out there and doing it, and I've got the car, I believe in myself, and it's a question of getting the right strategy.
More mind games from Schumacher. A dozen races, Tony, since the pole sitter has won.
Yeah, but Schumacher 3 wins here, out to make up for Monte Carlo. David Coulthard trying to stop him. He's been ahead here twice and gone out through mechanical failure. Barrichello's had a 2nd place here. Häkkinen, with those problems, could still win from that position, says Ron Dennis. Frentzen aimed for top 6 and he got it. Villeneuve got the top 6. Car in low downforce trim, very, very good indeed. Truly car change from morning to afternoon. Zonta smiling away his best ever grid position there, and De La Rosa inside the top 10 again. Traction problems for Sikela and for Herbert. Ralph, leg okay, car not okay. Traction problems for them, and brake problems this morning. Verstappen, big crash in qualifying, lost a wheel. Wirtz, who's barrel rolled here before 2 years ago. Salo, then Irvine, mystified by the Jaguars' performance. His turn to scratch his head. Elezi outside the top 10 for the first time in 10 years. Engine went. Button, fuel feed problems, couldn't get full revs at all. Deniz, then Genet, who hit the wall, turn 15. Heidfeld, all sorts of dramas for him over the curb. And Marzipan at the back, as usual.
Still looking for you, Mazzacani. Who's this guy calls me Marzipan all the time?
I don't know, but
He'll
I like
catch
his
up
cakes.
with you soon. Don't worry about that. Last year's race, well, the temperature was absolutely soaring on the track, 44 degrees. We had mayhem, as Tony mentioned, at the first corner. 3 world champions then played the wall game after the final chicane, and it was the world champion Mika Häkkinen who scooped the pot.
In Canada, it is go! Michael Schumacher moves across, cuts across. Häkkinen, Eddie Irvine trying to go on the inside, failing to do so. Are they all going to get around this one? That's it. It's a Prost again. Jarno Trulli has gone off, but hopefully they'll be able to keep the race going. Oh, and off goes Zonta. That's Ricardo Zonta in the VAR. Safety car's out, Murray. Schumacher goes, Häkkinen goes, Irvine goes, Coulthard goes, Fisichella goes. There's the patch where the VAR was. David Hill out of the race. David Hill retiring. Oh, Bud Schumacher out of the race. Michael Schumacher slams out of turn 13. Villeneuve out. Jacques Villeneuve, who I was talking about, has done exactly the same thing that Michael Schumacher did. Coulthard challenges. David Coulthard passes Eddie Irvine. No, he doesn't. Out goes Irvine. Out goes Coulthard. Oh, my goodness. Mika Häkkinen out on his own. He's going to go through on the inside and they're going to touch. And Madara is in there as well. And Irvine gets through. Now, that was great stuff. Eddie Irvine is scything his way through the field. Oh, past Johnny Herbert goes Eddie Irvine all over the place. They both go over the apex of turn 13, and Eddie Irvine's gigantic push has succeeded. And off goes Brinson. Well, right in the closing stages of the Canadian Grand Prix. And I think we're going to see, for the first time ever, a Grand Prix finished behind the safety car. Mika Häkkinen wins in Montreal.
Now then, Tony, how about that wall? The tourist board say it says "Bienvenue au Quebec." Welcome to Quebec. They ain't joking, are they? It's sort of come to mama time for some of the biggest names in F1, isn't it?
Yeah, and after all the champions had hit it last year, it became a wailing wall because they were complaining so often. And Michael Schumacher's asked the organisers to clean up their act. And you can see Damon Hill there on the dirty stuff, off the line, onto the concrete outfield there, into the magnetic wall. Now Villeneuve, if you look how he went in, front on, and he was way offline, he's already lost it coming across the apex because of all the dust and dirt that was dragged onto the track by people going across the apex. Even the great Michael Schumacher here, caught out, bang, that was a big crash for him as well. Getting sucked into the wall, and they've made some changes here on the inside, extending the gravel trap, trying to prevent that from happening yet again.
It's still a place very well worth watching throughout the race, isn't it?
Certainly is.
Well, let me just remind you how things stand in the Drivers' Championship. Around about the halfway stage, Michael Schumacher on top. He goes for his 40th Grand Prix victory, by the way. Coulthard has never won here in Canada. Häkkinen subdued, as we've been saying so far. Barrichello, though, he has been very much on the pace. Fisichella second here for the last couple of years. Ralf Schumacher, his injured leg is okay, but his starting position of 12th certainly isn't. So then David Coulthard really is carrying Britain's hopes in this championship. He really has raised his game this year. He's the man of the moment in Formula One. Is Coulthard. The talk shows want a slice of him, and he has been off to New York for a late night with David Letterman.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome David Coulthard. David? Welcome to the show. The championship is going pretty well for you so far, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going really well. I'm catching up with Schumacher, only 12 points behind.
The dreaded Michael Schumacher. Now, do you know this guy off the race, off the course?
Yeah, no, we actually worked together as two of the directors of the Grand Prix Drivers Association working on safety, but the problem is we keep running into each other on the track. So,
what's the fastest you go in these cars?
fastest is Monza. We do 220 miles an hour.
220 miles an hour. And do you ever, like, sneeze at that speed? What the hell happens then?
Oh, well, I've never actually sneezed in the car, but I don't know if I can mention that there's one thing you can do. You can't pass wind in a corner. You can only do it on the straight.
Well, there's some insight for you.
Yeah.
He's been blasting round here, okay, I can tell you, but no rowdy New York studio razzmatazz for us. The way we do it, to find a quiet spot on the jetty on the St. Lawrence Seaway and sit David Coulthard down to sample the Murray Meets experience.
Not many people realise, and I'm here to point it out, that you actually have 3 years less experience than Michael Schumacher, Al and Mika Häkkinen. So do you feel that there's a lot of potential with Coulthard still to come? Are you learning all the time?
Absolutely, and that's, you know, despite Mika having sort of romped to a couple of world championships in the last 2 years, and there has been a lot of criticism pushed my way about not being hungry enough, you know, and not being able to mount a challenge, all those sort of things. And you know, I thought it was unfair because of the fact they have more experience. They've reached a point in their careers where that experience and maturity that comes from life does make a difference. You know, any good driver shows flashes of great performances early on in their career, but they don't tend to put together a real consistent challenge for a championship until later on, when you've sort of grown up a little bit. And that's the area I think I'm getting into now in my career, and still feel I'm learning and still feel that I've got a lot more to give.
One of the bits of conventional wisdom is that your team boss, Ron Dennis, is, quote, closer to Mika than he is to you because Mika was involved in that awful crash at Adelaide and he nearly died. Do you feel that?
I think that it's inevitable that Ron, having potentially almost lost a driver for his team, what happened to Mika back in Adelaide '95, that I can't imagine how close they became during that period. And you know, I don't have a problem with that as such. It was just a question of making sure that I had every equal opportunity with the machinery and the situation as and when you hit the track, and I'm comfortable that's the case. You know, I'm not with McLaren to have, you know, lots of friends away from the track. Of course I do have a lot of friends, but why I'm here is because I want to win races. I want to be the world champion, and then I want to get on with the rest of my life.
Do you have any sort of a life outside Formula One at all?
Yeah, I have a life, of course, but it's sort of compacted into 2-3 days in between testing and racing. You learn to live your life that way, and you look for November when largely you have the time off of not driving to have your sort of main holiday and catch up with family and friends. But we all live that life. It's exactly the same for you and your colleagues and what have you. For the people sitting at home, they have the best opportunity because they can live a normal life and watch the Grand Prix. And I know a lot of people would love to be here in Montreal and be in this paddock and be part of the F1 package. And of course it is great, but we all would love to be able to spend some time at home.
You can't lead a normal life. You're David Coulthard, world famous racing driver. Here and now, there are 10 races to go. There are 100 winning points left. You are 12 points behind Michael Schumacher. Importantly, you are 5 points ahead of Mika. In your mind, can you win the World Championship?
Absolutely, it's possible. The gap between myself and Michael is less than it has been, and it would only take another win here and Michael to have some problem or other, and suddenly you're right in there with a shout. And it's going to be a whole season-long battle. You know, the people at home are going to get I think a classic Grand Prix and World Championship battle. And I'm a part of that and have the opportunity to be a part of that right until the end, and I believe I have the opportunity to win it.
Coulthard needs that first Canadian victory badly. 1 and 2 of the cars going out onto the circuit here in Canada. 25 minutes to go to the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. The circuit named after Jacques' father, Gilles Villeneuve. He won the first Grand Prix here in a Ferrari back in '78. Jacques hasn't done that well on his home track, but on Father's Day he's got the BAR up on the 3rd row. Some achievement that. Let's drive Montreal with him, and it's Martin Brundle to talk you round.
Onto the pit straight with Jacques Villeneuve in the BAR. Not much time to look at your pit board here as you build up to 190 miles an hour, sweeping down to turn 1. You try to use it as a deceleration zone, really, into 2, a quick jab of the throttle, then hook up on the curb on the inside, use it like a railway line, and then get on the power early towards 3, up to 165 miles an hour, and down to just 75. Clip the curb on the inside. Be very careful on the exit. Correcting the oversteer there, now into turn 5, 165 miles an hour around the wall, and brake very, very late into 7. Now just 60, building up to 90, a bit of space on the exit. BAR still giving him some oversteer, up now to 190 miles an hour, slight right curve. Then you're going to go underneath the bridge, it's bumpy, a few manhole covers, and make sure to clip the curb on the inside. Now again, 90 miles an hour on the exit, and take the line of least resistance, bringing the car over to the left-hand side into the main spectator area, and brake very, very late for the hairpin, 40 miles an hour. Almost full lock there for Villeneuve, but good traction on the exit this time. A little left curve. Now there's nothing much for the drivers to do. This circuit, of course, named after Jacques Villeneuve's father. He's heading around 200 miles an hour down to the great last chicane. Brake very, very late. Now you must connect with the curb on the inside, launch across the rumble strips, mind the wall, over the start-finish line at the end of these grid hatchings. A good run there for Jacques Villeneuve.
Best qualifying position of the season so far for Jacques Villeneuve. He'll want a good race today. 120,000 here watching him. Well, you obviously enjoy our competition, and here is the outcome of the little teaser that we set you in Monaco. What a great prize, a VIP trip for you and a friend to Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. Up for grabs was full Paddock Club hospitality for qualifying and the race, courtesy of 1-to-1 and Jaguar Racing. Really a dream ticket for any F1 fan. The question we asked, which of the current Jaguar drivers has won the Italian Grand Prix? A. Eddie Irvine, or B. Johnny Herbert? The answer, Johnny Herbert in the Benetton back in 1995. The lucky winner, Jim Manley from Cambridge. Congratulations, Jim, and we'll see you at Monza in September. There we are, that's the casino that we have been talking about overlooking the circuit. Will it be a lucky day for Jenson Button? Subject of so much speculation. He'll be talking about his F1 future when you rejoin us, and there's Martin's grid walk as well. You're back with us in Montreal, looking at a very relaxed Jenson Button, having a bit of fun with test driver Bruno Junqueira. Not much fun for him though so far this weekend. He's starting down the back in 18th place in the Williams. All this at a time when his seat in the team is in jeopardy. Here he is with Martin.
Jenson Button, thanks for talking to F1 ITV. So, what do you think of this Formula One lark so far?
I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. It's very hard work. A lot of people don't realise how hard work it is and how much there is involved. But I'm getting there, I think, and I think towards the end of the year I'll be a lot more complete than I was at the start.
I said to you on the grid just before the race at Silverstone that you seem to have one emotional level, which I thought was a great compliment.
Yeah.
You thought I was questioning your partying ability or something like that.
No, trust me, I can party away from the circuit.
But, you know, you're 20 years old, your calmness is amazing. How do you do that? How do you keep such a level head at all times?
I think it's having a father like mine, you do. He's a bit crazy, so I have to be a bit more calm, sort of the things out at home. So I think that's probably why.
Seriously? There must be, have you always been like that all through your life? Have you just been...
I think I've been quite calm, and I don't know. I don't think there's no use in getting all, you know, hyped up about things. You just stay relaxed, and I think you do a much better job.
We're halfway through the season, and the media have already got you booted out of the Williams team.
They're playing table tennis next year.
How daft is that?
It is really, because nobody knows what's going to happen. This is the 8th race of the season, and it's a bit early to be talking about next year. And everyone thinks I've already left, so I don't really know where they got that from, because I think I'm going to be the first one that's told what's happening next year. So really, I've just got to concentrate on what I'm doing and just concentrate on that, and then at the end of the year, we'll see what happens.
So how can you respond to that sort of stuff on and off the track? How can you handle that? Well,
I've got quite used to it now, because I think I've been asked, the last 3 races I've been asked about 10 times what it feels like to be out of Williams' seat next year, so I'm quite used to it now.
So the spotlight is burning quite brightly on you at the moment, all the chit-chat about Montoya, etc., etc., and I'm not going to be the 11th question this weekend of how does it feel like to be booed out of Williams, because I know your situation. But do you feel that pressure, and can you handle it?
I don't feel the pressure at all. As I said, not from the team anyway. And I think I can handle it. But no, I feel very confident with the rest of the season, and that's what is important to me at the moment.
Are you sure we'll be following you on F1 ITV next year in a Formula One car?
Well, I hope so. I don't know what else I'm going to do. I don't know what else I can do except go back to school. didn't really plan to be out of Formula One in 1 year. So.
Now, I think it was Martin Hines said to me that you were one of the very first that benefited from karting age racing, dropping down to 8 years old. Is that a fact? You were one of the first.
When I was 8.
Yeah, and you were one of the first to be able to do that.
I think I was the 4th year. Right. It was 8 years old, I think, in England.
And do you think that is a key aspect of why you're able to be so good so young?
I think yeah. Starting at 8 years old, you do learn a lot more than when you're 20 years old in a category like that. When you pick it up a lot faster as well. So now I'm sure it has, and also racing abroad in Europe and all that, with different cultures and stuff. I'm sure it definitely helps you get used to life as well as racing more a lot faster.
Here's a question I'd rather ask than answer. How good are you? Are you the next big thing?
Wait and see. That's all I can say, really.
All right, good answer. Best of luck, and congratulations on everything you've achieved so far in Formula One. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Tony Ping Pong, back to school. What's occurring with him?
Well, as an ex-teacher, perhaps I could try and teach him something, but I doubt it. He's so streetwise. He's so good. He's very, very good. I don't think he'll disappear from Formula One, but speaking to his father and his manager this morning, they're preparing for the worst, just in case they have to. Someone like BAR is an option. You know, Villeneuve might be out, Zonta might be out, Villeneuve who could overdrive here yet again and be on his way. We don't know. But the thing is, he is a great talent. You've heard Eddie Jordan talk about him during this weekend. But his job is to drive his best, drive his socks off till the end of this season.
I don't think too many people are going to be talking to us, are they? Because we arrived in the paddock this morning, saw Ricardo Zonta, we went, Ricardo, fantastic, well done, all the best. He goes out to warm up and look what happens to him.
I know, well that was you. You stood up and gave him the big firm handshake and he was beaming all over his face, his best ever grid position. And within seconds of going out on his installation lap, we think the Honda engine let go, unfortunately, so he didn't get to do the warm-up at all.
Here's Villeneuve in morning warm-up as well.
Yeah, now, this is what I'm saying. He can tend to overdrive in front of his home crowd. A rear brake locked as well, and off he went. Let's hope he keeps it together this afternoon for Jacques Villeneuve.
One or two facts and figures to enhance your enjoyment of the Canadian Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher's won 2 of the last 3 here. Hakkinen, last year's winner, but he retired from 6 of his 8 races. David Coulthard has never won here, never been on the podium from 6 starts. It's McLaren's 500th Formula One World Championship race. Congratulations to them, and to Ron Dennis on his CBE as well. Fisichella is the only driver to finish in every Grand Prix this season, and 14 wins from pole in the last 31 races. But the last winner from pole, Mika Hakkinen in Hungary, some 13 races ago. This one always a race of attrition, and if recent history is anything to go by, it's unlikely there'll be more than 10 finishes. Well, what is the race strategy likely to be? James Allen has been investigating.
Canada is traditionally a one-stop race, but the problem is it's very, very hard on the brakes. A one-stop fuel load weighs 85 kilos, and the brakes take a real hammering with peak temperatures of around 1,000 degrees centigrade. Now, this morning in the warm-up, both Ferraris tried two-stop fuel, but I think that was more just to keep McLaren guessing. The problem with using 2 stops around here is that you need to build a lead of at least 28 seconds in order to make your extra stop and rejoin back in the lead. Plus, if you get any kind of safety car period, and we often do here in Montreal, you're absolutely finished. So I think most people will stop just once today, making the stop around lap 30 to 35. So with McLaren and Ferrari on the same strategy, it's a straight fight between Michael Schumacher and David Coulthard.
Thank you, James. Everyone very, very happy indeed. It's a lot cooler here. The temperature just 18 degrees. A huge contrast, I know, to all of you back home. 15 minutes or so to go to the start of the Grand Prix. What do you make of that, looking at the McLaren team there, Tony, of the situation between Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard now?
Well, I think, and there's Adrian Newey, the technical director, and Mika Hakkinen just whispering in his ear. I think that there is a little bit of a swing to David Coulthard. What we've got to remember, it was a lukewarm Ron Dennis, I thought, on the podium after Monte Carlo.
Who's that in the shot, by the way?
That was our James. That was our James, working out exactly what's going to happen strategically. But Ron Dennis is actually engineering on Mika Hakkinen's car as well, so there is a little bit of a bias there. But to counter that, Ron does let them do, both as #1 drivers, to go for it, and that, to his credit, is a great thing about McLaren. There's Rubens Barrichello there moving over to the right-hand side, just consulting with Ignazio Giunti there. That's the guy who's one of the great engineers at Ferrari, and hopefully they've got their strategy right.
All right, well, in past years, Martin Brundle has missed this race for ITV because he's been racing at Le Mans. I'm delighted he's on the grid for us now, and hopefully we can hear from him. Hiya, Martin, there you go.
Hello, Jim. Hello, everybody. And welcome to the grid. It's slightly curious down here because it's very, very calm, and I don't feel it's necessarily tension from everybody, but maybe it is just the calm before the storm. Let's have a wander along the grid, see who we can find as ever and what's going on. Both Ferraris have arrived very, very late onto the grid. Michael seems to have a problem. Plenty of time here still to be kissing pretty girls and all that. Look at the smile on his face. He certainly seems happy with life at the moment. But yeah, he seems incredibly relaxed, doesn't he? Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. So here's Coulthard. Let's have a quick word with Coulthard if we can. And he's talking to his engineer. So can we butt in, David?
We're pretending we're working because we can see you coming.
You're pretending you're working, so... So tell me about it. You're in with a chance of the championship. You've really been elevated after Monaco. What can what's your mentality for today? You've got to score points, but at the same time, you've got to take points off of Schumacher.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to have an attacking mood as I go into the race, but really it's a question of what happens at the start and then playing it from there. You know, I can't just drive through the guy, and I don't know how much pace he's going to have, but clearly we've seen through Friday and Saturday we've been quite evenly matched.
But he knows of all the people on the grid, you're the one most prepared to have a go at him. Do you think that's in his mind?
I certainly hope so. Maybe you should go there and remind him.
I was trying to get hold of him. He was too busy kissing pretty ladies, but good luck, mate. See you later on. Let's have a word with Heidi, actually. She's standing over here, and see what she's thinking about her man's chance today. I'm terribly sorry to be rude and butt in, Heidi, but judging by the cap you're wearing, I guess there's no doubt who you're supporting today anyway.
Yeah, I have a favourite.
I mean, he's really going well. Is he up for it? I mean, what's your vibes from him?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, he's going to win. He's going to win the whole thing. I'm the eternal optimist, so.
Good job too. Good job. So, I mean, where do you watch the race from? What do you do during the race? You go and hide behind the pits and with your head in your hands, or what happens?
I usually watch the start in the pits, and then I find someplace quiet where you can see the times and the screen, everything. So.
Does he ever sort of say, "Oh God, you know, Heidi, I don't know what to do today," or does he talk through things with you?
I'm going to tell you. That's secret. Team secrets. Team secrets.
Secret. Well, you give less team secrets away than most people. Thanks for talking to us, Heidi. See you later on. I want to talk to somebody from Ferrari. I want to get a bit of a spin on what they were doing in the warm-up this morning, because they changed their strategy. I've only got 45 seconds left, but let's just see if I can blag a quick word. Ross, any chance of a quick word? Very quick. 30 seconds, 20 seconds. Obviously you were moving your strategies around this morning in the warm-up. Are you absolutely clear what you want to do this afternoon? Are you satisfied you got the right picture?
I think so, yes. So the rain's predicted, so that might throw a bit of a spanner into it. But it's a one-stop here, going as long as you can. That's what everyone will be doing. It's just a question if the safety car comes out or it rains.
So that you've heard that rain is predicted. That's the first I've heard of that, I have to say. When are you told it's coming?
I'm not going to tell you that, but I know it's coming.
Yeah, okay, interesting one. Thanks for talking to us, Ross. I think it's time we threw back to the studio.
Thanks very much indeed, Martin. So rain on the way, and that really could make things extra interesting, couldn't it, Tony?
It could, but usually Ferrari are extremely well prepared for that. They will have set up the car in different guises to cope with it. They will be able to change the strategy accordingly. But if rain does come here, it's a very smooth surface and it's very, very difficult to drive. There's Alain Prost, and boss of his very troubled team indeed, and it's been problems for them.
Let's join Louise Goodman. She has BAR's Craig Pollock with her.
Craig, 2 cars in the top 8. You're having a strong weekend, aren't you?
Well, we started off pretty well. The problem is now is the race. So we've been very good in qualifying 6th and 8th position. If we can get through the first corner in the same places and then start to fight, we'll be very, very happy.
This is obviously Jacques' home Grand Prix. Is he extra pumped up for this race?
It's actually extremely calm. I think he was worse in Monaco than he is here. We've tried to protect him as much as humanly possible because the crowds are just 100% behind him. But he's going to be fine. He really is fine. He's very calm.
Have a good one.
Need it. Thank you.
And Jacques Villeneuve needs it as well. Pedro de la Rosa, he's been going pretty well. George Harrison, one of the stars down there, always enjoys his Formula One. You know, if you're getting your first taste of Formula One this season, welcome and don't go away. You really have picked the right race. The Canadian Grand Prix has never sold us short. It's been a total blast, to use the local vernacular, and we're very nearly ready to go.